Hi everyone, it's April again, and today we're going to do part 4 of Getting to Know Me, and this will be the last installment unless you guys have any more questions. So please click the subscribe button below and leave me a comment or thumbs up or a question, and I'll be happy to answer all of your questions and respond to all of your comments. So today we're going to talk about my heart disease. In 2006, I had a heart attack. I was 43 years old, and I was at the grocery store, and it was about 6 p.m., and I was just shopping, and I got to feeling very uncomfortable in my collarbones, right in this area. And women do experience heart attacks very differently than men, so women pay attention to some of these things because it may indicate to you what it did not indicate to me. I did not realize that this was a heart attack. But as this collarbone ache started, I rolled my shoulders trying to make it feel better, and it wouldn't stop. And then it radiated down my sternum into my chest. And so I was feeling pain all the way from my collarbones down the center of my chest. And so I finished my grocery shopping. I drove home. I put all my groceries away. I made a pot of coffee. And I thought, well, I'll just pay attention to this and wait and see what happens. And all of a sudden, a couple of hours later, everything started to go black. And I thought, oh no, I'm going to pass out. And then it opened back up, and everything was fine. And I thought, ooh, if that happens again, I'm still having this pain. It's been a couple of hours. Maybe if that happens again, I need to call paramedics. So I grabbed my cordless phone and put it on the couch next to me. This was before cell phones. And about an hour and a half later, it happened again. When everything starts turning black, and then it opened back up. And so I didn't pass out either time. And I thought, oh boy, this is not good. Something is definitely wrong, besides just being uncomfortable. You know, I thought I had indigestion. I thought, any number of things. So I called 911, and 6 paramedics showed up at my house. And they hooked me up to a portable EKG machine, and they said, well, Miss Griffin, you're having a heart attack. And I said, you're kidding. And they're like, no, ma'am, we're not kidding. And I said, well, I'll tell you, fellas, if you hadn't had a date in 4 years and 6 good-looking men showed up at your house to take care of you, you would have a heart attack too. And it just cracked them up. And I had everybody cracking up that whole night. So they took me in an ambulance to the hospital. I got the nurses there laughing, making jokes. I was just dealing with the whole thing through humor because it seemed so absurd to be 43 years old and having a heart attack. But I did have to have a cardiac catheterization and 2 stents placed, so it was quite a serious situation. And a couple of days later, they released me from the hospital. I was doing fine. And I went back to my life. I went back to work. I had a happy countenance. I was just going to live my life normally, taking my medication and, trying to take care of my heart and, get my cardiologist appointments in order. And so I did all that. And then fast forward 4 years. It was about 2 or 3 months shy of being exactly 4 years since my previous heart attack. I got a gastrointestinal bug where I was in the bathroom for about 3 days. I could not get far from the bathroom. I was so sick. And I had another heart attack. But this one was because of the bathroom issues. I had actually gone to the bathroom so much that my potassium dropped down to a 1. And my left ventricle contracted and it could not relax. And here I was, almost 47, and having a massive heart attack. It's called a widowmaker. And so the paramedics, again, took me to the hospital, and they hooked me up to the EKG machine at the hospital, and they said, oh my gosh, you're having a massive heart attack. And I mean, they went on high alert. And there were people everywhere just going berserko trying to take care of me. And I actually, called my mom into the exam room and said goodbye to her, told her what a great mom she had been, called my husband in. He was my boyfriend at the time, but we're married now. I called him in and told him how much I appreciated him and how much I loved him and how he had contributed to my life. And said goodbye to him, and then I had him send my daughter in, and I told her how much I loved her and what a great pleasure it was to be her mom, and said goodbye to her because I didn't know if I would live to see the sun go down that day. So what happens in a person's body when they have a heart attack is it changes your body chemistry because the electrical current in your body is disrupted. Your heart runs on electricity, your brain runs on electricity, and your nervous system runs on electricity. So when that electrical current has been disrupted, it will cause all kinds of other issues. For instance, my adrenal glands began to produce massive amounts of cortisol, stress hormone. And so even though I didn't have any stressors in my life, I felt stressed all of the time. And that caused me to have intense anxiety, and I had a panic attack about 3 years after that heart attack that was so bad. I've never heard anybody having a panic attack like this before. And what happened was we were in a meeting in my boss's office, and all of a sudden I began to sweat. And I mean profusely sweat. I was just soaked. My hair was soaked, my shirt was wet, my slacks were wet, my shoes and socks were wet. I felt like somebody had dumped a bucket of water over me. And then, after that started, all of a sudden, I could hear everybody's heartbeat. And there were about 13 people in my boss's office in this meeting. And it was just an informational meeting. It wasn't like anyone was in trouble. But I could hear their heartbeat, every one of them. And it was so loud. And a little part of my brain, just a little part of my brain said, this is not physiologically possible for me to hear this. I'm having a chemical malfunction in my brain. So I didn't know what was happening, but I didn't know how to stop it. And after I could hear all of this noise, these heartbeats, I could hear the air going in and out of people's lungs and all kinds of strange things you cannot hear. Then I had a visual disturbance, and everything looked the same as like when you light your grill and the heat makes the air shimmer over the top of the grill. That's what everything looked like. So I walked out of my boss's office, sat down on the floor up against the wall, pulled my knees up to my chest, and covered my head with my arms, and sat there. And then I don't remember anything until at some point later. I was standing out in front of my office park on the sidewalk by the street. I had my jacket on, I had my purse with me, I had my soda with me, and I was smoking a cigarette. And my then boyfriend, who is now my husband, pulls up in his car and gets me to get into the car. And he had to really coax me into the car because I was freaked out. This was the scariest thing that had ever happened to me. And but he got me in the car. I got in to see a psychiatrist within a couple of days, and they gave me anti-anxiety medication that I still take to this day because my adrenal glands are still mass-producing stress hormones, even though I'm not in a stressful situation. I have no stressors in my life, but my body is under a constant amount of stress from the hormones, and I don't know how to fix that. So I just take my medication and try to live a happy life. And I had to find a purpose for my life again because, after that episode, I had such high anxiety and was so scared of having another one of those attacks. What if that happened when I was driving or when I had my grandchildren or something like that, and there was no one to save me? I just lived under this intense cloud of anxiety. So I had to stop working, and I went on disability and I have other health issues too. I have 4 birth defects, and they're starting to cause issues as I get older and all that. But this heart thing has just been a hot mess for messing up everything in my body, all my hormones and stuff. So I quit work, went on disability, and I began to crochet again. And that's really good for my anxiety. It keeps me calm, gives me something to concentrate on. And I decided to crochet for charities. If I was crocheting for St. Jude's or for any kind of festival that sold products to raise money for schools, or a particular organization that I feel strongly about, like the American Heart Association, the American Red Cross, Wounded Warriors, then I sell my projects there. And so you can go to my YouTube page, my Facebook page, which is April Griffin Basin, and you can see all the fun things that I've crocheted over the years. And I've just had such a fun time doing it, and I like to do all different kinds of projects, and that has given me purpose back in my life and made me feel like I'm contributing again to society, and also able to manage my anxiety. And I have not had another bad panic attack like that again. I've had a couple of small ones, but nothing like that one. So I've overcome a lot, and I'm living with a lot, and I'm happy, and I'm healthy, because health is not necessarily a physical thing as much as a mental thing. Even though I have health issues, I now have Crohn's disease on top of heart disease and all the other things that I've overcome in my life. I still have a mental place where I have joy and I have peace, and I reduce my stress. Like I said in my last video, I get stressors out of my life so that this massive amount of stress hormone that my adrenal glands keep producing, they don't overwhelm me, and I'm able to manage to live a life that I feel that I'm contributing to society by doing these things for charity, and I feel good about myself, and I'm still happy, and mentally I'm healthy, even if physically I have some issues. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed these videos of getting to know me. I've enjoyed sharing my experiences with you, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and don't forget to click the subscribe button. And always find a reason to laugh. Talk to you soon.